Welcome to Off the Record, a legal podcast.
Hello and welcome to Off the Record, a legal podcast with attorney Rhett Burney. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're going to talk about 10 things that your lawyer wants you to know before and during your court case. Rhett, welcome back.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So let's talk about what lawyers want clients to know.
We touched on this for the different section last episode. Now we're going to get into another side of it. There's obviously a lot of things that go into a court case and a lot of things that the average person like yours truly doesn't know about this stuff. So let's start here. How long do court cases typically take, and how are people's expectations during the process?
Yes, so the number one rule, court cases always take longer than clients expect them to. They're not fast. You've got to remember we have people who are not seeing eye to eye on some issues. When you have two people who are having a dispute, coming to a resolution is not quick. And so they ask a court to get involved. And unfortunately, it takes time to get into court, and depending upon the complexity of the case, it may take longer to present the case in front of a judge. There may be lots of things that we have to do on the outside of the trial stage, such as discovery and conferences and mediations and having experts involved. And all those things can lead to a case taking much longer than clients think or expect it will. So what we preach to clients all the time, if you want to survive your case soundly, you have to be patient. And everybody, I even hate that. Don't you, Kevin? I hate to be told, be patient, be patient. We want it now, we want it now, we want it now. Why can't we have it now? Everything else that we deal with in the world, we can get when we want it and how we want it. Court is not like that. Decisions by judges are not like that. So if you're going into a court case or you are involved in a court case, just expect it to take longer than you want it to. And if you can learn that and understand that, it will make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about that last time, and we also talked about that because of that, you've got more time equals more money, right? So the costs are higher than people expect.
Yeah, and everybody comes in and they want to know how long their case will take and how long and how much will it cost. And it would be so great if, as lawyers, if we could tell a client exactly how long their case would take and exactly how much that is going to cost. But we can't, because there's so many different variables involved in a case. There's the other side, the facts change all the time. A judge can hear the same case over and over again and give different decisions. So, those types of things, they cost money. And unfortunately, people don't like that. We don't like to tell them that. But when clients call us every day, when we have lots and lots of hearings, that means, because lawyers charge by the hour, that's how we get paid. It tends to add up on the billing side of the client's invoice.
What about, you mentioned the other side? How much does that affect the case overall, as far as because obviously you can't control the other side like you control your own side.
Yeah. So yes, we cannot control what the other side does. No control whatsoever. Sometimes we can barely control what our clients do. So, clients will come in and they'll give us a story and say, "This is so easy. What is taking so long? Why is this so hard?" Well, guess what? It's not the facts of a case that make it difficult. It's the personalities that are involved. So if you have a very difficult personality on the other side and they won't agree to anything, even though it may seem right or rational or logical, but they just don't, then that makes a case last longer. If the other side, you can't find them, or they have some type of substance abuse issue that we're having to deal with, or they don't respond appropriately, it causes delays. And inevitably, clients, they get mad at their own lawyer because we're the path of least resistance, right? Because they're not talking to the other side, so they think it's our fault. But we can't force anyone to do anything. We can issue subpoenas and we can file motions, but all that takes time, which takes money. But it's much easier and cases run much smoother if both sides cooperate with each other and the lawyers cooperate with each other. But if they don't, that tends to drive up the cost of a case and also makes it longer.
What about the court schedule? I mean, obviously, there's a lot. We've discussed it before. So these courts are overwhelmed. What would you say that people don't necessarily understand about that?
Right. If you wanted to fly to Florida today, Kevin, you could go and pick a flight and fly from Colorado to Florida tomorrow, right?
Sure.
A lot involved, but fortunately, the airline system is set up for that. The court system's not like that. They don't have unlimited time. They don't run 365 days a year. They don't run 24 hours a day. So there's just a limited, finite amount of time. And there are a lot of cases that have to be heard. And unfortunately, because of that, it causes delays in cases being moved. It would be great I would love it, Kevin, if I could take a case on Friday and on a Monday and try it, go to trial on a Friday. That would be wonderful. I would never have any complaints from my clients. But one, this court schedule doesn't work that way, and two, you can't do it that way. But unfortunately, the courts just aren't built to allow people to show up and ask to be heard. You have to schedule those, and the dockets are full. And so that is something that people don't understand when we can't get a court date when they need it. We don't have any control over it.
Is there like an average kind of like, it generally will be about this time from the time you request a hearing to when you actually get it?
Yeah. So in a family court case, if you file, it typically takes a year. Some cases are much longer, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending upon how complex they are. Some are shorter. So if you're filing a family court case, a year is probably a safe bet, depending upon the facts, assuming it's kind of contested. A civil case, like a motor vehicle accident, if you had to go to trial, you're going to go to trial probably 2 or 3 years, just because it takes so long to get to these cases, because they take a long time to present, and we just don't have enough judges or enough court.
You mentioned before that a judge could hear the same case 10 times and have different verdicts or different rulings. Why is that? I mean, we want them to be, we think of them as impartial. We would like the consistency, but it's not practical, right?
No, they're human, Kevin. That's the problem. And I think, and they're smart. Okay, they do this every single day. They get a good feel for it, but they're often asked to make very difficult decisions, and sometimes they just flat get it wrong. They'll tell you that. That's why we have appellate courts, for when judges get cases wrong, you have somebody looking over their shoulder. But sometimes they just get it wrong, and they can't help it. But more often than not, they get it right. And even when they get it right, there's going to be one side that's mad at the judge and thinks the judge is stupid and doesn't know what they're talking about, and the other side is elated. But they're not consistent. But most of the time, the facts of a case aren't consistent. I'll tell you a funny story. I had a case. I was representing a client on a Monday, a set of facts, and got a ruling from a judge. He ruled against me. The next day, I had the exact same judge, different client on the other side with the exact same facts, and he ruled against me. Like, Judge, how can you rule against me twice?
How about both sides?
On the opposite side, of the facts. But he didn't know. He got it wrong in one of those. So yeah, they're not perfect. People think that just because they have the judge before their name and they wear a black robe, that they have this magical power. They're not King Solomon. They don't get everything right. They're not the wisest in the world. And I think clients have to understand that. They won't say, I just want to go to court. I don't necessarily think going to court is always the best option. Sometimes it's your only option. But if people can work out cases and take it out of the hands of a judge, they're usually better off with the results rather than going and risking a judge making a decision that they don't like.
How difficult is it to balance the emotional side of things with the fact/evidentiary side of things?
Yeah. So, people believe they are right. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the facts, right? They try to justify their actions. We have clients who justify their affairs, saying, yeah, my wife just didn't love me and this is my soulmate and whatever, right? So they're working on their emotions, but that fact is a bad fact for them. and they don't see why it's so bad because in their mind, what they did was right. And so oftentimes emotions will sway our logic so that we become illogical, but yet we don't see it because, as humans, we don't often like to admit that we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody admitted whether they were right or wrong in the appropriate time, we probably wouldn't have judges, lawyers, or police officers. So, but it's just human nature, and I think we're getting more emotionally charged. That sometimes we just disregard the facts because we want our way.
Even if you disagree with a court order, obviously you can't just do whatever you want. You have to comply, correct? I mean, is that something that you find people don't understand?
Yeah. So yes, you may not like what the judge says or what a jury says, but you better follow that court order. Because if you don't, the court has the ability to find you in contempt and put you in jail, can make you do community service, pay the other side's lawyer fees, pay court costs. So orders are very, very important, and judges do not like it when people don't follow those orders. Mm-hmm. And so when clients call us and they say, do I have to follow the court order? The default answer is always, yes, you have to follow the court order. So, but people inevitably they don't. And we go back to court, and some judges are very, very serious about what they do to people who do not follow court orders. Because once we stop following court orders and they stop being enforced, the whole judicial system falls apart, and
Sure.
Then we have complete chaos. So yeah, a judge needs to. They do take it very, very seriously when somebody does not follow the court order. And I think if somebody doesn't follow a court order, unless they have some very, very, very good reason, I can't imagine what it would be, then I think they should be punished accordingly.
How often you have to tell people that about their words and behavior and how they matter?
Yeah. They need to, when they speak and when they act, they need to do so with the assumption that there is a stranger at some point in time will be looking at how they're acting and reading their words and hearing their words, and will be making a decision about what they heard and what they saw. And that stranger is a judge. And so when someone is involved in a court case or maybe getting ready to be involved in a court case, they have to be very cognizant of the fact that we're in a digital society. We're in a social media society. People are filming things all the time, recording things all the time. It's very, very easy. So everyone needs to understand that there's a great likelihood that someone's watching them, listening to them, recording them. And at some point in time, that information that has been recorded or documented, that may come back to haunt them if it's negative, if they're cussing at their other side, if they're yelling, threatening, and all of that. So absolutely, words matter. And judges don't like it when people treat other people poorly. There's no excuse for that. And when they see it and hear it, especially a parent saying bad things to the other parent in front of a child, they will punish them. They will take it out on them in some form or fashion. It costs them their whole case.
I feel like there's a sense, especially when it comes to family court, divorce court, things like that, that settling is sort of giving in, giving up, just giving up the fight. Is that something that you feel a lot of people feel?
Sometimes they do. But I think the better way of looking at it is settlement takes give and take. When we reach settlements, the best settlement are those that both sides feel like they've lost somehow but have won somehow, because if you're going to get something, you're going to have to give something. And the great thing about settlements is, as a litigant, you're keeping control of the outcome of a case. You may not 100% agree with what you have agreed to, but you've been able to keep a little bit of control over it, taking some things you like, giving up some other things. You go in front of a judge, they're going to make a decision. You may hate that decision. You may like that decision. But in a settlement, you may come up with some type of arrangement that a judge wouldn't or couldn't have done because of what the law says, but may not have given such a ruling. They may have done it a completely different way. So lawyers, we always tell clients is you got a better chance in Vegas of getting a result that you like than to go into court, because you just have no idea it is like rolling crap sometimes when you go in front of a judge because there's so many factors involved. We don't know how a witness is going to come across to a judge. We don't know whether the judge will like our client, dislike our client, how they will take in the evidence. They may see it completely different than we see it. But when you settle a case, it's not giving up. It's actually being more mature, being smarter, and coming to a solution that both parties can live with. It won't be with 100%. Not everybody's going to agree with it 100%, but it's better than taking the risk of getting a worse decision from a judge.
As we finish up here, aside from the things that we've talked about, is there anything else that you would like to get across that's super critical that you would love for people to know?
Yeah, so trust your lawyer, communicate with your lawyer, tell us everything, share your thoughts, your dislikes, your likes, be professional. There's nothing worse than finishing a case and then having someone write a review or complain and say, I don't like what we agreed to. I don't like you didn't do this. Tell us now. Tell us now. We're not perfect either, but communicate with us. Give us a little bit of mature professional dialogue so we can discuss those things in your mind. Like I tell my wife, I do not read minds. If you do not tell me, I will not know that you're thinking about that. If you have a concern, bring it to me. If you have a like, bring it to me. If you want to accomplish something, tell me about it. Otherwise, don't assume that I'm going to automatically know what you want. So when you're speaking with us as lawyers, make sure you tell us everything, but also allow us to have a professional, mature conversation. We may tell you some things that you don't like. Our job is not to tell you what you want to hear. We are not counselors. We're not here to make you feel good. We're here to look at your facts, look at the law, and give you an opinion of what we think. If we tell you something you don't like, there's good reason behind it, but that doesn't mean we're giving you bad advice. That means we're giving you great advice. It just doesn't match up with what you want. So listen to your lawyer and tell your lawyer everything.
All good tips for sure. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to Off the Record, a legal podcast with attorney Rhett Burney. For more information or to connect with Rhett, you can visit rhettburney.com. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We got lots of great information out there and continuing to come your way. Rhett, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much for being here.
Okay, Kevin, have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.